All right, welcome to the week 13 forum, week 13 forum. We have 3 weeks left in the semester, so we have to talk about your papers. This week we are dealing with chapter 14, textual analysis. I think this is, again, a very important and useful chapter. I like the previous two chapters better. Even though I wrote my master's thesis in this area, and I like it. I enjoy textual analysis as a political theorist. That's one of the things that we spend a lot of time doing. But nevertheless, I think I like the other two. I like the presentations a little bit better. Um, so we're looking at textual analysis, which is again this idea that there is meaning to be found in text, um, how we express ourselves in writing has significance, both rhetorical and sort of epistemological. Rhetorical in the sense that we tend to write with a purpose. We are trying to persuade people that what we're arguing is the way to look at an argument. And also epistemological, because again, this idea is that how we write contributes to what we include in the corpus of knowledge about a subject. And to me, again, referring back to my master's thesis, the idea was that I was looking at this notion that the Republican administrations of the 1980s were focusing and using metaphors in a way that closed doors uh, in a foreign policy sense, and that we were increasingly again finding ourselves being drawn into conflicts, which I think bore fruit, in the 2000s, and it's always important to keep in mind. I think the master's thesis I wrote was correct, and I think that the events of the 2000s bore out my analysis that increasingly we found ourselves expecting to fight in the Middle East, and that you know that that happened. We ended up occupying, conquering and occupying two foreign countries, and I think that proved to be not necessarily the right pathway to take in terms of U.S. strategy in the Middle East, U.S. strategy for advancing our interests, but also just in terms of securing global stability. And we should always keep in mind that yes, we have our national interests, but we also have responsibilities as a global superpower to try and avoid you know uh, try and avoid you know separation between those two things, between this notion that we need stability, but we also need to advance and protect our national security interests. So, again, as with many things, textual analysis can have qualitative, it can be approached from a qualitative or a quantitative, perspective. Um, I happen to think that the qualitative approach is is the better approach. I don't think that all qualitative approaches to discourse analysis are equal. Um, I think when you look at speech act theory and critical discourse analysis, I think first of all they are attempting to do something scientific. Post-structuralism, in my view, I feel like you should include it, but you should also recognize there are some serious anti-scientific implications to a lot of what the framers of post-structuralism, Jacques Derrida, Michel Foucault, they're French, but also Paul de Man and several others. Um, you know, the, there is this sense in which they're basically saying everything is a text, and the author is not the determinant of meaning, which is again this sense of decentering and all that kind of stuff. I frankly think a lot of it is nonsense, and I have difficulty plowing through that stuff and really giving it much credence. I don't like to say that I disrespect anything, but I am not a fan of post-structuralism, and I also acknowledge that one of the reasons why I don't like post-structuralism is the strong influence that Nietzsche had over it, over its formation. A lot of the post-structuralists, like Foucault especially, have very clearly expressed themselves in saying they they believe that Nietzsche had a profound impact on them. I'm going to hang up here. Let's have a good discussion this week.